Hello and welcome to Justice. I'm Judge Jeanine Pirro. Thanks for being with us tonight. Why are we fighting in countries like Iraq and Afghanistan when even they don't have the will to fight?
The Iraqi forces just showed no will to fight. They were not outnumbered. In fact, they vastly outnumbered the opposing force, and yet they failed to fight. Airstrikes are effective, but neither they nor really anything we do can substitute for the Iraqi forces' will to fight. But we can't make Iraq run as a decent place for people to live. We can't sustain the victory. Only the Iraqis can do that.
Now, I'm going to shock you tonight. I believe him. Finally, someone in the Obama administration who tells the truth. But then again, we've known for a long time that the Iraqis don't have the will to fight. A year ago, they dropped their weapons, they abandoned their vehicles, they even dumped their uniforms as soon as they saw ISIS coming. And even then, when there were only 800 of them. Well, surprise! After yet another year of training and $9 million in U.S. military expenses a day, last week they did it again. And here's the rub. Every time they drop their weapons, ISIS, the sworn enemy of every one of you, gains military equipment to use against us. No, I'm actually surprised that no one's come up with a great idea that it might save American lives and civilian casualties to just cut out the middleman and ship the stuff right to them. So what are we doing there? First, it was weapons of mass destruction, and then it was to bring them democracy. I've got news for you. The fighting has been going on in the Middle East for thousands of years. It's about religion, who's holier, who controls what land. And many of those fighting in the Middle East are willing to martyr themselves for Allah. They want to create a caliphate. They're determined to expel the infidels. So you tell me where democracy fits in this tug of war. So if this administration, though, were to be believed...
Our objective is clear. We will degrade and ultimately destroy ISIL.
Mr. President, with all due respect, I told you a year ago what you need to do. Bomb them. Bomb them, keep bombing them, bomb them again and again. And I don't care how long it takes. Just take out ISIS, take out their convoys, and take out those troops. Now, how do you degrade and destroy the sworn enemy of the West when you fly drastically fewer missions per day than in past conflicts, when less than 25% of even those missions actually drop a bomb? The problem is they're now coming for us. We have to respect the honor and memory of the thousands of American military wounded or killed in the Middle East, as well as the civilians. But make no mistake, Iraq as we once knew it is gone. There's no real government. The military clearly can't function. The land is run by militias. And like Afghanistan, tribal allegiances rule. Now, we need to be focused on the protection of Americans from our new enemy, ISIS. Once that ragtag team, now a well-organized, brutal, wealthy terror force, parading in the streets of Ramadi under their ISIS black flag as the world watched. You had them all lined up in one place, Mr. President. You could have bombed them then and there. So much for your intent to destroy and degrade. But then again, it's not all bad news. You should feel good. Remember those 5 Taliban commanders we traded for that so-called deserter Bergdahl? Their travel restrictions are set to expire within hours. I suspect they're on the phone right now with their travel agents. But the White House isn't worried. They've got it covered.
We have a relationship with Qatar where we transferred a number of detainees with some security restrictions in place. to ensure, and this is something that the Secretary of Defense certified to, that these individuals did not pose an undue threat. We are in touch with the Qataris about what sort of arrangements we believe are necessary to protect the American people.
Now there's a guy I don't believe. You want to protect the American people? Why the hell did you trade the Taliban 5 in the first place for a deserter? As enemy combatants, those Taliban 5 could have been held indefinitely. They didn't have to be released. The Taliban is not a country. Everyone knew Bergdahl was a deserter, but you.
I was in command. I'd been in command about a month or so when he left.
In what year?
2009.
Yes.
And my initial understanding, based upon the reportings I got, that he had walked off intentionally. I do not know whether he had walked off to be picked up by the Taliban or just walked up.
But, Mr. President, you couldn't wait to run out to the Rose Garden with your arm around Mr. and Mrs. Bergdahl, as Mr. Bergdahl thanked Allah in the Rose Garden. We already know that at least 3 of the Taliban 5 have reached out to their terrorist comrades, and one actually had the Taliban come and visit him in Qatar. I feel better. So back to my original question, Mr. President. Why are we fighting in this region instead of focusing on the impending and the inevitable wave of ISIS attacks, sure to rain hell here on American soil?